I don't know. Um, so if people look at the emails and compare it to what's in the recording. Okay. So the original, so welcome everybody today to the VOLTTRON office hours. The original plan for today was to have Shweta talk about RabbitMQ and the progress that's been made on using that as VOLTTRON's message bus. Unfortunately, she is not able to make it to work today. She and her husband were in a car accident on the way to work. They're both fine. But she's not, she's um, needs to take the day off, so she will not be able to present on that today. So instead, we're going to have Craig. Part of what the other thing we were going to do today is have Craig speak about some of the changes in 5.0, the new release schedule, and then we're going to open it up for general questions a little earlier than we usually do. So yeah, go ahead, Craig.
Okay, yeah, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, wherever you happen to be. Let's see. Let me share my screen here. Uh, all right, can you see everybody? Should have.
Yes, I can see.
Is that my whole desktop?
I see a Word document and a web browser.
No, that was supposed to be a program, as a matter of fact. But, anyways.
That doesn't work reliably.
Apparently not. So, let's just do the primary monitor.
So Jeremy did make it. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm going to go through is I'm just going to go through some of the things that have happened since the 5.0 release, and then the paradigm of updates and things that are happening, so that you guys know where the latest and greatest is if you choose to update. So everything that I'm talking about today has been pushed to master. There was several issues with different libraries that have happened since the 5.0 release, and that has allowed us to release two subsequent versions since the 5.0 release, which so now we're at 5.0.2. The main differences are during the bootstrap process, there was an error with wheel and with Pippi, and so what we did is we downgraded the wheel package that is installed, and that's integral to our installation process because we use wheels to install is agents. Agents are built using the wheel library. So that was pretty important. And the other issue was finding it was a little bit difficult because if you had a current version, this error didn't manifest itself unless you removed your env directory and then the egginfo directory under your VOLTTRON home. So, or not VOLTTRON home, under your VOLTTRON repository. So that's why it wasn't caught before it went out. But that's been fixed. It's been pushed, and master is now up to date with 5.0.2. And yeah, that's the main thing. The 5x branch has been updated a little bit more than that now, because it now includes a request that Nigel has put in for a couple errors with um, the tagging service. So this issue right here has been um, these two tasks have been added to the 5.x branch, and we'll continue to add to the 5.x branch as we go forward. I'm hoping that we can have these interim releases not go to master, but interim releases off of either the developer 5.x branch or both, um, going forward every couple of weeks. We'll see how that works. Jeremy, anything else?
Just another comment on that. With the goal there is to not have such a long lag between releases, so that it's a major lift between or anything like that.
It's also so that you can actually come in here. I mean, if you come in and look at the 63 commits, I mean that's a lot of stuff to go through
Yeah, that's true.
before major commits. Now, when it goes to master, once we have all of this stuff, all of these preparatory releases for 6, it shouldn't, even though it's a big, there will be a big jump because master is not going to get updated for a while. But you have the interim releases that you can go back to. That being said, with 6.0 we're going to be having all of Rabbit in there too, so that'll be interesting.
Yep, that'll be a big one. Okay, thanks. Any questions on this? If not, Kyle, did you want to talk about some of the driver things that have been coming up?
Did you have anything specific in mind?
What the
Is this unsigned thing,
Yeah,
the BACnet, the backpipe thing?
yeah,
Is
the
that what you're
backpipe
talking about?
thing, and then is that related to that what the datetime object and the atomic entity and that sort of thing?
Oh, okay. So, well, there's a little bit going on there. So, there's we have not officially supported schedule objects in VOLTTRON in our BACnet driver. And due to an issue that came up on the forums, I ended up being steered towards actually solving that, looking into solving that problem without realizing it. And there are certain properties that have a type called any atomic, and it means that the type of the parameter can be an integer, a real, a date, a time, a null object. And we don't support those in the proxy. Therefore, when you try and if you're trying to grab a property where the type is basically undefined, and you're told the type when you retrieve it, the proxy doesn't know how to deal with that. And I got to looking into it, and it turns out that that's a key thing that you need to deal with in order to support schedule objects. Now, as far as I know, we don't have any test devices that have schedule objects on them, so I don't have any way of currently of testing my code. Although I did add some changes in it that should add support for the any atomic object. But again, I don't really have a way to test them. Now I'm going to look into see what's in our controls lab today and see if I can take a stab at actually testing it. I did hand off some code to a user to try, and he said, well, the error that I was seeing went away, but now I'm not getting any data. I have no idea why that is, so I need to go and test it. So hopefully this will lead us forward to where we can start supporting schedule objects. The caveat in all of this is that one of the atomic types is actually a date time object. If we or a date or a time object, and if we treat them naively, you're not going to be able to tell what it is that you're getting, because the way that it's represented uh, in Python is as it's represented as a tuple, but if you send it across the message bus, it'll look like an array. And both the date object and the time object have 4 elements in there, so unless you already know what it's supposed to be, you're not going to be able to tell what it is. And then it also has other weird features like the number 255 is the same as it means null. So that confuses things even more. And so what we would like to do is come up with and the utility for these datetime objects doesn't map perfectly onto standard Python datetime objects. So converting it to a string and then converting it back into a datetime object is not necessarily the best thing to do. We would have to do something like what we would like to do long term is add support for datetime objects to the message bus, and then so datetime objects, date objects, and time objects, so that we can transmit the results from grabbing a schedule object, for instance, off of a BACnet device unambiguously. So I cannot make any promises as to when that will happen, but if there is a strong enough interest in it from the community, maybe we can find some time to work on that. Is that fair to say, Jeremy?
Yep, that's fair.
Okay. Like I say, I don't want to promise anything because we have looked into supporting datetime objects on the message bus in the past, and there are competing technical issues with whether or not we should support it. We've intentionally avoided supporting it because we wanted to keep open the possibility of switching to a different JSON library to serialize messages across the bus for performance reasons. We tried to do that before the 5 release was late last year, and it didn't pan out. And so if we decide to, but once we commit to supporting things beyond what JSON supports out of the box, we are committing ourselves to use either the Python standard library, JSON library, or simple JSON, because the features that we need to make that happen elegantly and easily are in those 2 libraries, but the high performance libraries like QJSON don't support those kind of hooks. So that's just kind of a high level explanation of the obstacles that we're dealing with. We want to do it. It's just a matter of if we can make it a high enough priority and find the time to do it.
Yeah, time and money.
Yeah.
And to go along with that, if there's an issue that is especially important to you, please comment on it.
Yeah.
Because that'll help us
know what the
support.
Community is interested in.
Know what the community is interested in, help us prioritize and be able to take that back to our sponsor.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say that's been a big driver in the RabbitMQ work, is community interest.
Yep, for sure. Okay, thanks, Kyle. I think that is it for the things that we wanted to cover.
Jeremy?
Yep.
Could we ask about the weather agent?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes, thank you. So there are multiple versions of the weather agent out on the repository. There's the one that we've had since the beginning of the project. Then there is one that was contributed by University of Washington, and then there's another one that was developed by another PNNL project. And we
And didn't we ask at the technical meeting how many people were working on their own weather agents? And a lot of hands went up.
I think there was a couple more. I think the one that was created by the other PNNL project is pretty good and covers a lot of use cases.
Yeah,
So
that one's actually in applications, VOLTTRON
yeah, so we're
applications.
thinking of making that the default.
I would totally agree with that.
So we wanted to check with the community to see if anybody is using a weather agent and which one if they are. And I'll take silence as nobody's using a weather agent.
Yeah, we're using the weather agent out of the default platform.
Okay. Who's this? Is this Carl?
That's Carl.
Okay. Maybe we can run the new one by you and see if that meets your needs or not.
Yeah, we're not doing much with it right
Okay.
now, other than put the zip code, get it.
Okay. Well, the old one doesn't necessarily have to go away.
No, no, it doesn't.
So we'll have both in there. It's just the new one has a lot more capabilities.
Now that I have you on, I mentioned to you at the beginning of the week about where the latest recordings are.
Yes, occasionally that process gets hung up. I need to get that going again. So apologies for that.
Okay, so January 5th is the latest recording.
Yeah. So I'll track that down again and see if I can get some more up there.
Are we still pushing them to the same share?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check my
Cache.
I'll check my cache of recordings and make sure that I've uploaded everything that I got.
Okay, cool.
Including today's.
Okay. Perfect. And then I'll send out an announcement on the mailing list when those get updated. Any other questions? So I wanted to leave this time open. If anybody has any questions about using VOLTTRON or is new to VOLTTRON, now would be a great time to raise any questions or issues that you have. If not, follow up with us on email. The present.
Jeremy, can you hear me? This is Manoj Gokhale from Eaton.
Yep.
Hey. Hi. So one question I had. I mean, we are all our team is all new to this VOLTTRON, and I have an engineer who would be working on the VOLTTRON platform. He knows Python. But he had some basic questions as to the file structure wasn't clear and how to go about it and what are the key things that are needed. So, and is the user guide the only one which is there, or probably what we are looking for is maybe a one-on-one call with you or somebody.
We can certainly set that up.
Yeah, we can set that up. And the other note is, when you say user guide, hopefully you're not using the outdated PDF which keeps coming up in Google. I just posted in chat the link to the current document, to the current documentation.
Okay, because yeah, what was downloaded I think is directly from the GitHub, whatever was there, the VOLTTRON master and.
Okay.
How long ago did he do it, is my question. Because if he did it...
Yeah, it was downloaded end
2
of
weeks
March.
ago.
End of March it was downloaded.
So how far has he gotten? He's trying to get started running it and that sort of thing?
He will try to get started because he has a Windows computer and not a Linux machine. Either he would get a Linux one or load the Linux environment, and that he'll get started. So he had just had a look at the
VirtualBox, yeah.
the code. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, if he installs VirtualBox, it's you can get a Linux VM, and that's what most of us are developers, have Windows machines, and we're using a VirtualBox VM to do it.
Okay, the VirtualBox. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
that's what we use.
And if you have any questions on that, we can help or even
Certainly.
send an image.
Just email us and we'll respond.
Yeah, if we could recommend distribution to use, a lot of us use Linux Mint in our VMs for our development environment. That works. We know that all of the instructions on the website will work with that environment. If you're using like Red Hat or like pure Debian, it's harder to know whether or not the instructions are working. You might run into problems, but Linux Mint just works. We know that works out of the box.
And all the tests and stuff are ran against 16.04 and 12 Ubuntu. So we know at least it works to that effect. But and I've tested it on Debian, and it works just fine on Debian 8. That's one of the things that we have running on in the different environments here at the lab.
Okay, yeah.
I've been
Hello,
running
sir.
on CentOS without any problem, and I think at one point I did update at least the installation instructions for CentOS.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check with him.
Okay.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, but if you use Slackware, you're on your own.
Okay.
As much as I like Slackware, I'm not going to recommend it to anybody to use for this.
And David, I need to look back into your TSL stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, David, for your comment in the chat.
Okay.
Did you need me to answer anything about the TLS, excuse me?
No, I'm good. I just need to get back in there and relook at it.
Okay.
I've been distracted. So, so
No, that doesn't happen.
no, I know, right? That's what happens when you're in a matrixed organization. Hopefully, you don't have that issue, but you know.
So, all right. So, are there any other questions? The staff member who was going to present the RabbitMQ.
Yeah, we went over that already.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the first thing Kyle mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll make this a short meeting, and we will, for anyone who's interested in the RabbitMQ, we will follow up with that on next week. All right.
Don't forget our email address.
There you go. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and we will talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.